Welcome, guys, to our first show for the OTP podcast, where we bring you unfiltered and uncensored conversations. I'm your host, O, joined by my co-host, Chinny, and Mr. Y. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good today, man. Ready to get the show on the road. First show, season opener. Yeah, man, it's a good time.
Yeah, Mr. Y.
Bro, I'm all blessed, bro. I'm just excited for the season to kick off, man. It's been a long time coming.
No, of course. Well, let's start. Let's start with our first topic. Arsenal draw first blood as Community Shield winners. How are we feeling about that? What do we think? Is there any significance for bringing into the Premier League, or is it just is it one up? Is it it's just to see where everyone's at? Is it the last game of pre-season for you guys? How do you guys see it?
You know what? I don't think it's a one up. We didn't actually give them a convincing beating, but we showed that we can compete in it. Too long have Arsenal not been able to compete with the likes of Liverpool, with the likes of Man City. And from last year to this year, where we've gotten different results, and obviously the result in the Community Shield, it just shows that we're at a level that we can compete in games and go on to win games or get something out of a game, and just not come off having played good and done nothing. So more or less, it was just to show that our own team that we can actually compete, rather than, I think, the result or the actually winning the Community Shield itself.
Yeah, for me, it's a confidence booster, because I feel like it was a bit of a psychological block. I don't know how many games it's been where Arsenal have failed to beat City. So for us to go into the first game and put down a marker is a good psychological boost, and that's all it is, really. Because at the end of the day, it's a glorified friendly here. You know, there's no real significance. It's not a major runner. It's not a big cup. But it's nice just to know that, or for the players to know that, and take something away moving forward into the season. So for me, that's what I took from there.
Yeah, I say that. For me, I think I don't like the way like this cup has lost its edge or its meaning. And there seems to be really only in England that it's we don't really care about these cups and whatnot, and it's not a cup you had to really knock people out to get into and whatnot. But I think it was a good representation of where you are, and it is kind of for me. I always saw it. Now I see it more as it's the last game. It's the last pre-season game to kind of say, okay, let me do one over for you guys, especially. Let me do one over Man City, and if we win, it show us where we're at, and that's 1-0 to us. Even though people don't count it.
That's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's the last pre-season game. Obviously, the game's bigger in other countries, but in this country, it's more seen as a glorified friendly. So it's the last pre-season game. And depending on who you're playing in that Community Shield, you still want to be able to just show what you can do. The players want to be able to compete with the best. And if they're playing against the best, which Man City obviously are right now, it's just a benchmark of where their season should be and how I should approach every other game.
And don't get twisted, it wasn't a friendly to both teams. We saw how Pep celebrated, we saw how City celebrated when they scored, we saw how Arteta celebrated when we equalised. We saw what it meant to both sets of players. So they were both desperate to win. So from that kind of standpoint, for me, it was significant in terms of just being able to have that confidence. But other than that, really, there's no rivalry or hatred for City, because we don't know no City fans. So
I know two real.
I know one as well.
You guys know more than me, so you know what I mean. I only see the virtual ones on Twitter, and you know what I'm saying to you. So for me, there ain't that hatred towards City. So but going back to your first point on how there's no significance on it, from when it was a charity game or charity cup, you know what I mean? It was a charity game. It was a charity cup. It was a charity game. It was a charity cup. It was a charity game. It was a charity cup. 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 It was a charity cup even from that title, it's hard to see significance in that, you know what I mean, competition as a result. So if it was called a Super Cup, for instance, like they have it up in Spain and they have it in the Bundesliga, then I think it would slowly start to, you know what I mean, hold some weight. And similar to maybe like how the Carabao Cup over since Mourinho came in has started to mean something, and then Pep's kind of done something with it. But like growing up, Arsene Wenger used to just field the kids in those games. It wasn't really like a major honor. It was something where we just used it as a means to help bring youngsters through. Where now it's actually something that everybody wants to win. All the top teams want to win, even though it's not as big as, say, the FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League.
Yeah, so I don't think for the players they'll see it as a trophy, but I think the players will see it as a victory against Man City.
Yeah.
More than anything, it's a victory against Man City, whether it be on penalties or not. It was a victory against Man City. And if I'm being honest, we probably should have won the game during the 90 minutes.
I agree. I think so. For me, you guys were the better team. Overall, I think City had some moments. But so where does that put Arsenal for you guys in terms of running, in terms of league, and with the signings you've had, and where does that put you in the running? What should be the expectations for your manager?
I mean, I see a lot of Arsenal must win the league. Arsenal should expect to win the league. I mean, for me, I just think that's rival fans being a bit salty, to be fair, because I don't think anyone can expect to win the league when you've got City here. There's no God-given right to win anything. And City have shown they're probably one of the greatest teams, if not the greatest team in the Premier League era, and been one of the most dominant teams. So my expectation is to compete. I want us to be fighting for the title and be in that race till the last days. I would want a major runner, a FA Cup, Champions League's a dream. But yeah, just any domestic, any domestic cup or any cup whatsoever would be a good season for me. I just think we've got to walk away from the season with some sort of silverware and knowing that we took City to the final day at least. Obviously, I want to win it, but that would be my minimum expectation.
Yeah, man, it's time that we compete, like, on all fronts. So, League, FA Cup, Champions League, Carabao, like, we need to be going to the end stages of all these competitions and winning one, if not more. Because when you want to be the best, and that's what Man City are, that's what they do. They regularly win the Carabao Cup at the start, and that's like their pre-season tournament. Like, they win it, get it off by January, and then they focus on everything else. So hopefully we can, like, we're building a squad, we brought in some additions. Hopefully we can now rotate the squad and we're still strong enough to go beat some of the other teams in the cup competitions when we need to rest the likes of Saka or Partey for the next league game or the next Champions League game.
That's a good way to close out that conversation. Oh, what about City actually? What with their ins and outs? I would say, to me, they're a weaker club. They're a weaker team. I still think they're favourites, but I think they are a weaker side right now if they don't make improvements to who they've lost. I feel they need to make some signings, and I'm not sure the signings they linked with are the correct replacements. What's your take on that?
You know what? They've lost big players. Like, they've lost Gundogan. He's a massive player. He scores goals in important moments. Like, away to Everton, coming up trumps. They were dropped. Like, he goes and scores. He scored league-winning goals. Scored in the champion. Like, he scores big goals, and to replace that is very hard. Yeah, they have De Bruyne, but they already have De Bruyne. So to replace him, they're linked with Paqueta, slightly different player to Gundogan. He's more of like a final phase player rather than where Gundogan is like an all-phase player. He picks it up, brings it, arrives in the box. So he kind of does all the transitions. And then obviously they lost Mahrez as well, who, regardless if he's starting or not, he chips in goals, assists, causes an issue, causes a very big issue. And that's going to be a very big loss considering the players that they're linked with to replace him are Doku, who I've seen his little live wire. Liverpool are obviously previously linked with him, but he's not Mahrez. He's not of the same ilk as Mahrez, and we don't know how he's going to adapt yet. So all in all, depending on the replacements that they get, it's looking like they're going to be a weaker team. But take that not for anything, because Man City are Man City. Pep will not let them lie down. So
Pep finds a way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I look at City on paper, like if we're talking like you look at it like a FIFA team or FM team, you'd be like they look weaker on paper, right? Because they've lost, like you said, they've lost Gundogan, you know, they lost Mahrez, and they've just come off a season where they've won a treble. So naturally things do drop. But then even though these signings ain't say who I would like or how I rate highly, I've seen Man City bring in Nathan Ake, and I've never thought the world of Nathan Ake, but we saw Nathan Ake be one of the best performing defenders last season. Yeah, so it's almost like you also have to see what Pep wants, because Pep always has a plan. You know, every time it changes from inverted fullbacks to.
The one other issue is that because of the system that they play, there's not many players that can go in there and fit straight in. You know, like if a player goes to Liverpool and Klopp plays his midfield three, which, you know, he lacks energy, they're just used to win the ball back, pass the ball forward to the Salahs and stuff. So it's a pretty simple role that they play.
Mm-hmm.
Like they cover Trent, they cover the fullbacks, and they just
run.
Create energy. Whereas Pep's system is a lot more in depth in the tactical build-up, tactical setup, and you can see it with like Grealish, who takes a year to adapt. Obviously, Haaland done the robot thing, and who like he just done what he done. But normally the players take at least a year to adapt to the system. So we'll see.
Yeah, they do, man. But like, yes, going back to what I was saying, like I'll have to see what Pep does, because Pep always changes something. Like last season, it was John Stones coming into midfield from the centre half and creating that box midfield with John Stones there. So he's always got a plan, and he is, in my opinion, the best manager we've seen in the Premier League. Yeah, probably the best manager in football history. So I can't sleep on City. You know, so signings may not like catch the eye, but you're dealing with the best, so you can't take that lightly.
Yeah, you can't write. He's always got a plan. He's always got a trick up his sleeve. He's got the financial backing. He's got, do you know what I mean? He's got the tactics. He is a great manager. So I definitely feel they are. I think on paper they're weaker, but I still give they're still
still number one.
And my question to you would be, yeah, even if they've got that financial backing and they're choosing to go to those places, I know you could pick out. They've got a vast pool of players they can pick from. If those are the players they're picking, there's a reason. Like we might not see, we don't have that vision, but we're not Pep Guardiola. So
I mean, yeah. on FM, FS.
You
know what I'm saying? So like I don't sleep on them like that. I don't write them off. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, this is not to say that he won't. There's nothing that he won't get anything wrong, because he's made wrong signings in the past. So it's not to say that he won't get a signing wrong, or they won't maybe do a panic buy, but it's just very unlikely that they will. They've got a good youth system. They got the likes of Cole Palmer coming through, Rico Lewis. So he knows what he's doing, I guess, and I'm pretty sure that the board have a strategy of where they want to go based on players that they've lost.
Yeah. Okay, well, that draws us to our next topic, which is Liverpool's rebuild. What's going on?
So much to talk about.
I'm not going to speak first.
Today is such a good day to talk about it. Like, it's great.
We were together yesterday, and it was when going down south. Oh yeah, it's gonna be. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be a great day. And then I came home, and it was. I couldn't sleep. I was buzzing, and then I woke up, and it was a whole different feeling. I even said, before I went to sleep, imagine all the fans gonna wake up to this news. I got it firsthand, like because I was awake at that time. But imagine all the fans gonna wake up to this news. Gonna be crazy. And those fans woke up to different news than I went to bed with.
He's gone to sleep seeing Caicedo going to Liverpool for 110 million. Record. Bear in mind that Declan Rice, England international, just went for 105. Caicedo, accepted bid, Liverpool. Man's gone to sleep on that. 6 hours later, 7 hours later, you've woken up. They're like, "Wow, you know what, Chelsea, I'm still here. Chelsea, I'm still here." And he's just moving.
Do you know what annoys me? This whole ideology of I'm staying loyal because I agreed personal terms and whatnot. Bro, if you say they pay me more, they pay you more. It's all right, man. London, I don't think London is like London's a good, obviously. You know what I mean?
That's always a hit. Being London.
Yeah, but I don't think in his case, I felt like it was always because he was talking about another team before. He went here, he went with Europe and this and that and whatnot. So for me, it's like this would have been a great move for him under Klopp as well. But I'm disappointed in the fact that like only thing that makes sense. You guys can obviously argue your cases on this point, but I feel like I don't think London's the thing. I think it's the fact that he's going to make more money at Chelsea.
More money. Yeah, he's got.
I get right into London to that area to West London, cool. But it's for me, it's money. He's going to make more money. He's going to be incentivized better.
It could be. I'm sure money plays a part, but it could also be the fact that Chelsea have been there from the start. They've been there since January. They've had that contact with the player. Sometimes it means something. Like we saw it mean something when we went after Declan Rice, in the sense of the rapport that Arsenal built with Declan Rice played a big part in him rejecting City for Arsenal. So I'm not saying that's the only point.
London played a big factor in that as well.
It
played a big factor because I feel like if he wasn't I want to stay in London when he had Bayern and them teams calling, he would have went there if he was a different mentality. But I feel like he is a different type of character. I think like he wants to stay in London. Arsenal is the perfect project, and the Arsenal as a team you want to is a team you want to play for. I think that's becoming a factor, but also the fact that Arsenal's history and culture and everything, and he gives me that. He went for all the right reasons, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like in today's market, you don't have that type of mentality no more. Like you don't have that mentality, and that's one thing I liked about the Declan Rice move to Arsenal is Arsenal. I just like Arsenal's setup, their culture, and everything. So. And then when you're in London, you can just only go. You don't even have to move, or you go just across there. It's just an easier with obviously England. You've got Saki, all these players, and I just feel like the project suits him for what he wants, and his ideology just made sense. That's one thing I love about that move. But I don't think that's the same case with Caicedo.
I mean, with London, I think London was like the icing on the cake. Yeah, but let's keep it real. If Man City had come in for Caicedo and Chelsea were there, you'd pick Man City because it's. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? So I don't think it's necessarily just London. I think we're looking at it too simplistically.
That comment that you just made, the crazy thing about that comment, Man City came in for Rice when we wanted Rice.
Yeah.
But they haven't gone in for Caicedo. And they're very similar types of players.
That is true. I forgot they did. I don't know if they wanted Rice like that though.
Did they really want Rice?
I don't think
they? And this is why I'm talking, like going back to Man City, obviously. Maybe they do panic a little bit because they wasn't expecting to lose Gundogan or to lose Mahrez. So when they're making certain signings, maybe it is slightly a bit of panic because they're going for players, but there's players in the same position that they're not going for.
Yeah. But I've got a little controversial take. I think actually Caicedo going to Chelsea, is probably better for him as a player than it is to go to Liverpool from a coaching standpoint.
London.
Yeah. I don't think Klopp is the best developer of players or the best coach of players. I think he's a better manager than, say, a Pochettino. But I don't think he's a better coach in terms of helping players level up in terms of their weaknesses, grow, work on their deficiencies. And yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's his strength. I think he's got a set style
of play, though.
I think he's got a set
style of play that you don't need to be a great footballer to come into Klopp's system. You just need to run, press, and like Chinny was saying, just pass the ball to the attackers. So
does that make you a better footballer? Or just the right?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Does he want to be a better footballer, or does he want to win?
It's not even just about winning. I'm just saying
he's play the highest level he can. Like his dreams were to play for Real Madrid and win a Champions League there and whatnot. So if he has aspirations and he wants to go places. This move is not the correct move. If you're talking about developing, and I understand your point. I think it's a very good point. But the Klopp system has always consistent for Liverpool is different to. It's not a big like you said. It's not a big tactical decision. You just need legs to do a job and it's a mentality and legs type thing. And that's why I remember Chinny saying it's a system that doesn't last long with players because how long can people do that job? But that's where I hear your argument because I feel like he comes to that team and it's not tactically going to develop him as a better footballer or a better passer because the job he needs to do is a lot more simpler. But I do think I still think he'd be a beast on the Klopp, and I think that should have been the direction he was heading. That's not me being biased. I just feel like, why would you leave Brighton? Like, why would you leave Brighton now? Why not just wait then? Stay at Brighton, play.
No, I'm not saying that he made the right career choice. Let me clarify. I'm not saying he's made the right career choice or he's gone for his
personal development.
I'm talking strictly for personal development for him to become a better player, right? Because you see it as well with Klopp, right? You see in the sense of how long has Trent been in the Liverpool team?
From or do you mean
right? How better has he got the defending in all these years?
I really don't agree with the point that you're about to make.
No, I'm saying how better has he developed as a defender over the years in terms of defending?
But has he? That's not his job.
No, but I'm just saying
Klopp's actually seen his strengths, and said, okay, your defending ain't that great. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cover you. And then the way he's adapted, trying to adapt his game now, just shows how he's saying, okay, you're struggling here. This is how we're gonna do this. So your argument is development, but he definitely brings the best out of players.
No, he does.
But for developing like his defending, like, do you think Poch, if he went to Chelsea, he becomes a better right back?
No, let me just clarify what I'm trying to say to you. Like, look at Pep, and how Pep brings players in. Every player that trains under Pep, right, becomes exponentially better than when they arrived. From a technical standpoint, from the understanding of the game, and etc. Players like Mo Salah, people like Mane have come into Klopp's system, and
you don't think they've gone better?
No, I think they are the best. I think they work perfectly in that system, and he's been able to maybe improve what they're really good at. But you haven't seen.
So he hasn't improved. He hasn't.
I'm talking about other aspects of the game. In terms of like, if they wanted to play possession football like at a City, they'd probably have to go and it'd be a bit more different for them because it's not necessarily.
Yeah, but that's a different argument because it's an ask.
No, but what I mean in terms of like, but then it's also having the ability because you lot are always just run, right? Yeah, like that's the way I look at.
But if it works and he sees the strengths and he emphasizes and pushes you on your strengths and whatnot, you're saying if he had to go there,
some things are worth. Like, we know that his strengths, like the pros of him going forward, Trent, are. But like, we're gonna take some of them defensive losses because the pros in a 38-game season are gonna give me more than the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games where he's gonna get caught out defensively.
Yeah, but take out the 2 last seasons. Trent's up there with Kevin for assists. He's up there. He's producing at right back because he's giving that freedom. So you're saying like,
but last year Liverpool didn't have the person on that side to cover it.
No, but you know what? Both statements. But I think the statement I'm making, the statement you lot are making, are both true. Both statements can be true, right? I'm not saying that his sole job is not to create, and he's not an exceptional player. I'm saying to you, I'll give you an example. Zinchenko is not the best defender, but over the years that he's been at City, he's become better at it slowly over the years. He's still not the greatest defender, but he's worked on that craft. I don't think that, let's say, Trent is anywhere close to being a better defender or much of a better defender than he was when he first started out. He's always been exceptional.
He's still not that good, but he's still not that good. But if you remember the first game he featured against United, and Martial was just tearing him a new one every time and whatnot, he's improved. You can't say there's no improvement.
I'm not saying.
However, the distance, I hear you on the distance.
That's what I'm saying to you.
But that's not his job. That's not what he's been told to do. So he's not.
Tactically, teams will go and like they will go down that right-hand side of Liverpool and exploit it because they know that he's always going to be going forward or inverting. So they're always going to exploit, which is going to make him look worse anyway.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, look, I don't disagree with that. All I was saying to you, I just don't think defensively he's improved as much as he could have in that time. I'm not saying that's his job, but I'm just talking about.
Right, but
right. That's all that.
Yeah. So the two arguments do coexist, but
They can both be true.
Yeah. So
that's all I'm saying. Like he's definitely a creator. I don't dispute any of that. His job is to create. He's an exceptional player. I'd have him at Arsenal. I'm not in any way trying to like shit on Trent. All I was saying is that I don't think his weaknesses have been worked on. So when he hasn't got that cover, you've seen it a lot more, and you see him really struggling at the aspect of defending in even like the most basic form.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? And that's why last season he got caught out a lot, not just because he never had protection, but because we saw how really bad he is at that aspect of his game. Right? And even like Zinchenko, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Zinchenko defensively. I'd be 100. But I've seen Zinchenko do okay in certain defensive duels. He gets ripped too, but he'll be okay in things. Trent last season was getting ran through.
It's just what he's
just
given
getting
up.
ran through.
It's what
your manager wants from you.
Yeah.
Huh?
He's given up enough going forward that we don't care what happens going backwards.
And that's why the inverted right back is working for him, but it's just not the right personnel beside him.
Now that Arsenal signed Timber, for example, you see the difference in his defending to Zinchenko, but he can also get on the ball. So there's different, but he's probably not as good on the ball as Zinchenko either.
Yeah, I mean, look, you always gonna have your weaknesses. You always gonna have your weaknesses, isn't it? I mean, we can agree to disagree. I just feel like his game hasn't come on a lot in that aspect. As an overall player,
I don't think it's been asked to as much. Obviously, you want him to defend better, but I don't think he's been asked to. It's been asked to, and obviously, there's been a big hole in our midfield where they can't cover no more. And is that like if Klopp was able to get Caicedo or somebody in that can come here and cover that, like earlier, he wouldn't have been exposed enough. And even when it's inverted, like it works. The system can work if we get the right personnel and Klopp shine and whatnot. But
going back to your point, though, the original point, obviously the rebuild. You've let some players go. There was already some players that needed replacing, regardless of if you let them go. You needed another centre back. You probably need a right back, unless Joe Gomez is now back up to Trent.
When you took a number 2, he was definitely becoming that number.
You need another midfielder. You've sorted out your front line. But if you don't get Caicedo, then there's a big problem.
I don't know who's next.
Lavier's still available, but you're just penny biting with that one. But
I mean, no, if we don't get Caicedo, we're just gonna pay the 50 mil. Like we're gonna have to. We're just gonna pay.
If I'm Lavia and I watched you just penny bite over me, but then you bid 110 mil for Caicedo, I'm not coming to you after because you don't rate me.
I mean. In theory, yeah, but he's not gonna say no, is he?
Right. You're not the only option. You're not the only option.
All right, let's keep it 100 though, yeah. Us man, we're petty, innit? We're being petty because when they dangle that money in front of you, you ain't saying no to that 50, 60.
The problem is that Lavia's only option is not Liverpool.
Who else is there?
Chelsea.
Right, for 50 mil, Chelsea will take both of them. There's still Arsenal that might
just out of spite, they'll try to take both.
But there's still he might go to Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton would be.
There's still options, and
that's
for me, I'm looking at that saying, yeah, no.
I hear that because me personally, in my big age, I'd be like,
you're not respecting my team because you're bidding more than double for my man. Like you won't even go 2 million extra for me, no.
I hear that. We one of our biggest issues is I think every team needs to progress, and I feel like we're in a point where we should have added season by season the right figures should have been adding to that midfield, and we've always been told as Liverpool fans next summer rebuild. Now we're in a point where I don't know if this rebuild was forced or not, because he tried to convince Henderson to stay, even though that bid came in. Milner tried to convince to stay. Obviously, Ox, Keita were going on a free. Bobby, wasn't getting as much chances as he was before. And I don't know if this was then. So I feel like this is just, it gives me reaction instead of like, when we won the Champions League, it's signing players that, we weren't spending that much money. We look at the cheap options. We signed like Vandenberg, we signed. I think Canate was the deal after, sometime after, which was a great deal. But we signed like Minamino, we signed players like that, and they weren't the right fits or the right type. We weren't really addressing the midfield when we knew it was a
was an aging midfield, and
Yeah.
especially the aging leg midfield in the way that Klopp gets you guys to play.
Yeah. And if you would have added one by one or the right additions here and there, you know, it would have been crazy. But like even looking at the Nunes deal, like I still feel like that deal was like that came out of nowhere as well. And I was like, is he the type of player? Do we need him? Is he? You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah,
you know, Diaz was supposed to be a later signing, but due to Tottenham, and then you've got Gakpo was another surprising one, which I think will come good, and that's what allowed Bobby to go. I don't know, man. I just feel like we just saw reaction, like being ahead of the curve.
It's going to be an outscore your opponent. And to be honest, it's not the most unbelievable thing for you guys to do because you have a lot of goal scorers. You have Salah, Jota, Nunes, Diaz. Like you have all these players that can score goals. So it's not the most unbelievable thing. Like it can happen. You might actually just do that to majority of teams. But, I guess with the build-up with games, any injuries, we'll start seeing what happens there.
No, I definitely agree with you.
Going. We'll see how that goes.
I definitely agree with you. I feel like Liverpool should have rebuilt or should have been added to that squad, refreshing it year on, year out with good quality players, not your Minaminos, not your little cheap buys here and there, with like real quality, like what City have done under Pep, like United did under Ferguson. Just adding quality, and then you're not having to rebuild a whole midfield in one season. Like you lot are literally trying to build a new centre midfield partnership in one season, which is ludicrous when you really think about it. And it's the reason why you lot have dropped off, and even why you've had seasons where you've kind of been at a title race, and then you haven't been at a title race, and then you have been in a title race, and then you've dropped off. For me, when I look at it, the quality is not the issue. It's more the fact that there isn't that refresh so much to speak, and that's where you lot have kind of suffered, and now you're paying the consequences because you're being reactionary. You're not being proactive in the market.
Do you know what one of the most annoying things that, and it's going to sound very controversial, was, you know how we obviously won the English Cups and went toe-to-toe with, went to all the finals and stuff like that. That disguised our issue because that was the one thing everyone read. There's no problem. We went toe-to-toe with City. We won these cups. We had the parade, blah, blah, blah. But everybody could see it, that there was a problem. Like, when we went to Champions League final and Thiago got injured on training, you knew the difference that made to our squad. You knew, we had a point where Thiago and Fab was the rock in our midfield. We were unbeaten playing them or not, but they can't. Fabinho is obviously, he lied about his age. He's left for pushing 50. And you've got and then you've got Thiago, who can't stay fit but is a baller. And if you think about, I watched the Thiago compilation the other day, and when you see him at Bayern Boss, he's like assists and whatnot and doing all them. No one used to just dink the free kick over and the striker was scored. And then I looked at all his coverage for Liverpool was defending, slide tackling, and it's just how much you're asking from him to do this.
Different job.
Yeah. So like, and then obviously, but we've made some signings. I think the signing, the 35 million for McAllister, I think that was a good signing. It was good for the value as well. And obviously we made another sign. I was surprised we activated his release clause. And I still think he's not playing in the role he's supposed to play. He's supposed to play right now. When I watch him in preseason, it's almost still figuring it out. And that's something that Mr. White said it's almost like getting the midfield together and saying, okay, you guys play and make it work. Klopp said he wanted all his players in before preseason or before the season. We've made 2 signings. We've got rid of 7. Defense needs to still be, even if we sign Casado, we still need to sign a centre back. He said the build was a young future. There's been loads of them who's gone and come, but yeah, that's me and Liverpool done for conversation because
it was a good talk on Liverpool. Still, there's so much to talk about, and that's how we got wrong.
There's a lot.
We move on to another team who have also got a lot to talk about. There's expectation. What are the expectations for Ten Haag this year, Man United? Do you want to start on? Oh,
he's got to be winning something. He's got to be up there fighting because he spent bread. And I don't care what they say. I know all these people saying, "Oh, United spent this and they've done this and da. They've done a lot else. They've done some good business. They've got serial winners. They've got a squad to compete. I feel like they need to be pushing on and trying to win the league. And United fans might say, "Oh, we just want to go in top 4," and you're lying to yourself. United should be up there and fighting for it. It should be. They were close enough to you guys last season to say, okay, they've made additions. They ain't really got rid of any players who, they've signed. They spent a lot of bread. They ain't got rid of any players who they shouldn't have got rid of. They're getting rid of the right players. They're bringing in players that suit their system, and they should be going to try and win the league. And anything below that is just scummy and them. It's embarrassing. They finished fourth. But if they finish fourth, it's embarrassing. And I think if they finish third, it's embarrassing, which I don't think they're going to be for top two anyway, but I think it's embarrassing.
I mean, I don't think third's embarrassing. Like, I think they will compete with us.
But my third is it's not even close.
Oh, okay.
Like, top two's going to run away with it, and then third is, it's not going to be close.
But I think the expectation should be to challenge as well. Like you said, we the team has had a really good season in the league. Man United weren't far off our season. So if we've had a really good season, and we've added obviously, but they've added two. They've got another year of playing together. They've added proven players like Mount's already played in the league. Hopefully, if Rand stays fit, they address their goalkeeping issue to the way Ten Haag wants to play. They've now signed a number 9. I mean, he's an unknown quantity, but he's a number 9, a young player. They got Rashford coming in off a great season. Anthony's second season. They've got so much players. They have no reason not to challenge. They've got a lot.
I agree.
Yeah, no, they definitely got a challenge. I mean, I feel like some of the expectations on United are a bit unfair to the manager. I know he's inherited a £1 billion squad and they've invested quite heavily, but I still also understand that they're trying to transition from a lot of players that weren't his style of players. So you've got the likes of Harry Maguire, the David De Gea's, the Scott McTominays, and bringing in different profiles and trying to change the way in which they approach the game. Like Ten Hag's always been somebody that likes to build up from the back, hold possession, and they've very much been a counter-attacking team so far. And it's almost like he's kind of had to work with what he has. It might not be the style of football he wants to play, but he's gonna make it work with the tools he has at his disposal. And I feel like next season there will be some kind of teething issues because they're transitioning from that style of play to be more possession based. So there will be issues, but I also feel like as much as I expect them to be in some sort of a title race or to be close or close to that, the top two, I don't expect them to compete because I don't feel like they've made enough signings. Or if they sign Harry Kane, for instance, I'd expect them to go in and compete. But when you're signing a kid to go play up top and you're big Man United, like we're talking United historically have gone out and signed the best players in the Premier League. They'll go take Berbatov from United. They wanted to take Modric from Tottenham, right? They'll go and take Ferdinand from Leeds. Whoever the bad boy player in the Premise, that's who they were after. They've gone from that to target.
But Martial is a future Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah.
You know what? Though? I hear your argument, yeah. But when Klopp came in, he spent. So I was doing some research, and he spent more money in his short time than Klopp has over the course. Obviously, stat people, if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me in it. But Klopp, the team he's inherited to the team Klopp inherited is different. I know football's changed, but it's different. So Klopp inherited was playing with like Joe Allen and them and there, and he's still playing with like Champions League winners and all these things there. So I know it's football, and you still got to change the system and whatnot. But they're serial winners, bro. They got to find a way. They have a squad. They have a squad to their squad. They have a squad.
When you get your players that you need in your system, you still have to have a level of developing players that are there anyway. Because you're still a manager. Your job is still to develop the talent that's already in the squad. So they're going to give you 6, 7, 8 players, but the other 4, 5, 6 players that are on the bench, you need to be able to develop them to your style.
It's not like they're anybody's.
And then you have
Real Madrid, ex-Real Madrid players.
They're talking about a possession-based team, but is Mount a possession-based player? Is Bruno a possession-based player?
But again, when we say I'll look at it like this, yeah. Look at who Klopp had for when Klopp's taken over, when Klopp first started, and who's left from the Liverpool team. If you look at who Pep first inherited and how many of them he kept, the same with Arteta now. When you're changing the whole fabric of the club, you're going to you're going to get rid of everybody almost. Or you're going to get rid of 90% of the players that don't fit your style.
Yeah, but what's your expectation then? Can you say, all right, my first 2 years, I just finished fourth, I finished fifth, or outside the Premier League, I finished fourth. The expectations are still going to be, yo, you have a squad to compete, or a big enough squad to maybe not win the league, but you've got to be in and around it, showing there's some improvement. Like, and we finished 7th or 8th that season when Klopp came in, or 6th or whatever. But you saw the difference. You saw the way our team was whatnot. When I saw his team, I didn't see it go, oh, I hear it, that's not his team, but I didn't see no drastic improvement. When I watched the first game and Klopp came in, you remember when the first game Klopp came in and he played Spurs, and you could see they had them just running and the difference. When I watched Man United, I was like, this is no different. New manager, same shit. Like, for me, like it weren't like this. But he has players who play, like is it that are champion. He has top players in his team.
The prices that he spends on the players automatically give him some pressure as well. So
yeah, definitely. But you know what? United always work with more money.
30 million player. It's not the same. If you buy a 30 million winger, or he uses the Amadou at right wing, it's different than going to buy Anthony. Now you've paid all that. He has to come good. There's no choice now. You bought Casemiro for 70 million. He has to do what he does. There's no choice.
I mean, look, let's be real. United have always had money in it. United always play with a bigger pot of cash in it. That's always been them. They make the most, they spend the most. That's just how it's been. So, like, when I look at it, yeah, I know they made these big boy signings, and he might spend more than Klopp. And you got to put in inflation, etc. But I also think the league is more competitive, and I feel like as well, tactically, like even like I look at it, I draw similarities to like Arteta. Like the first 6 months Arteta came in, he was playing with like a back three. Wasn't the way he wanted to play. The next season, he wanted to transition to his style of football. We were 8th.
It wasn't the way he wanted to play, but
yeah,
used it, and he got the most out of the players in that system because that's what he had to do.
You got to adapt.
But hold on, didn't Ten Haag win the trophy?
What the
I hate United, but bro, let's keep it 100. He took them to Champions League, right? Which is good enough for United on their first season, right? Because Klopp didn't do that for Liverpool, and Arteta didn't do that for us.
They spent different money to get there.
But I'm saying to you, he still did the job, innit? Whatever.
And where Man United were making big signings and adding, he inherited a better team and making signings and doing everything. Klopp was one by one. Liverpool's not really giving him that type of energy to do anything, and to the point where it's like, well, you could risk losing. Klopp's done an amazing job with the amount of money he spent and what he's done. But I'm not buying this. Like, Turkish needs to come in, see the players he has, and say, these players can't play this system right now, but this is the system I'm going to have them play in until I think can do this is what's going to work for me right now. And I didn't see any oh my God, this is a great, I'm judging him hard this season. He's got I don't want to hear no excuses, bro, from nobody, no United fans.
Well, for me, I'd expect them to win a cup and to improve their style of play would be reasonable.
A major trophy or the Carabao?
I'm talking about a trophy. Listen, I don't think any of us should be snobs to any type of cups. Like I see bare Arsenal fans like being snobbery to like the Europa League last season. I'm just like,
we want to win.
I don't get it.
But
a win's a win, isn't it?
It's a major trophy. Carabao Cup is not a major trophy. Europa League is a major trophy. Carabao Cup is not.
It's honest, isn't it? You can't, like, when you look at it's not better than it. Listen, it might be the last one down on the list. It might be the
second to last.
I'm talking about.
I don't call it community shields.
No, I'm talking about like the four that everyone can start off with, right? Everyone can start off with the league. Most teams can start off with the league, a European Cup. Yeah, top 7 teams can start off with a European Cup, FA Cup, and then you got the Carabao. That's the last of the 4. But I don't think just because it's the last of the 4, it's not something that you should sleep lightly on. Because I've never seen Pep Guardiola take it lightly. I didn't see Jose Mourinho.
Pep wins it and then wins something else. That's the difference.
But it's also like a stepping board, isn't it? Winning breeds winning.
Obviously, we're talking about Man United expectations and stuff. If they win the Carabao Cup this year and then finish top 4 again, are we cool with that? Well, obviously, we're not Arsenal fans, United fans, so I'm cool if they do that, innit? But if that's what they do, should a Man United fan be okay with that?
Nope.
Because as an Arsenal fan, if we do that, I'm not okay with that.
Imagine finish 4th place but winning the Carabao Cup, but spending all that money and then going, we finally getting his players in.
I think context is big because it depends on what happens in terms of like if the brand of football changes significantly, if they've changed the way in which everything, the way they play football completely changes, and they're having teething issues as a result of that, and that's the reason why. Then I'd be like, I can see the trajectory of where the club is heading. Kind of like I hate United. Yeah, I'm not like it sounds like I'm advocating for them. I hate them with a passion, but I've got to kind of sit here and be fair, yeah. Because like with Arsenal, I was one of the few people that was always like riding out for Arteta because I could see what he was trying to do.
Our difference is the money that was spent for Arteta to work out the system of play and the teething issues is not the same money that's being spent at United. So I can't give you the same amount of time because look at who you're buying.
And the club trusted Arteta. Remember, there's a one stage where it was like, is he staying? Is he going? They were like, you know what? I'm gonna prove that I see the vision, longer contract. And half of your fans was split on if he should still remain and if he's done a better job to his success, to who he was his successor. So I was like, so my thing was, there was a lot of that going on at the time. So the fans, and that's with us again, like Chinny said, that's a smaller budget. That's not with serial winners. That's not with you getting, because you look back at some of the players you guys signed and had to sign because, financially these things have made sense. And now you guys build into a point.
Which is why this year, if we have no excuse because of the amount of money we are spending now.
Yeah.
We're buying the best players.
More money.
Now we have the expectation is now to win the major trophies.
I think it's also to do with the time, personally. I think time is the biggest thing. I think time is probably bigger than the money. I feel like Arteta's had this is to be his 4th season. And I feel like that's the reason what creates that huge expectation of he needs to deliver something now because you've had time to build it, whether you've had a bigger chest of money or a smaller chest of money to deal with. You've built your squad slowly over the last 4 years to what it is now. So now you must kind of like be fighting at the top table. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. And because Ten Hag's only had 1 season, even though he spent money, I'm always like, I'm also like kind of mindful of the fact that you haven't really had time to do what you want to do actually as a manager. And
at what point are we gonna is this not an excuse though?
It depends.
How long are we gonna do? Is it this season? Are you gonna give him another season after this?
No, I wouldn't give him a season
after 200 million, and then again you're gonna say TV. Like, what point?
This season to change the way Man United play and to
win a cup.
He's got this season.
Yeah,
so
if he does that, that's cool.
So
I'm saying
what he doesn't win a cup, but he changes the style of play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. He wins a cup, any of the cups.
What if he doesn't win a cup, but he changes the style?
But then again, look, it'd be a poor season from them. But if they look at the trajectories going upwards, then they're probably best to stick with it because they can see where the club's heading. If you look at your club and you feel like this ain't it, like it looks like we ain't getting any better, you ain't doing your job properly, then obviously the man's got to walk. But if you look like you're heading in the right direction, and maybe if you make the right acquisition, if you bring in the few final pieces to complete, to complete the puzzle, then you stay with the man. And I feel like that's how I would approach it if I was my club.
All right. Well, when we're wrapping this up, my expectation is for them to challenge. I don't know if they'll win any cup, but he does have to change the brand of football that United play because that's what he's been about, and he has to compete on all fronts. So we have to get to the latter stages of the cups. He has to challenge in the league for the last few weeks, and that's what I expect of United. I don't expect them to be going out and getting beat 7-0. I don't expect them to be getting knocked out of any cups early. I expect them to go through the group stage of the Champions League quite easily. I expect them to have be level playing field in the league with the top teams throughout the whole season, and then obviously towards the end you will see who goes up and down from there. But they need to be in the mix. That's my expectation.
I agree. All right. Cool. Then move on to the next topic.
Now we move on to where Liverpool's most hated right now. Chelsea, lack of experience. Should Chelsea be worried? should Chelsea fans be worried about their club? Should they be worried?
You want to start?
You know, go on, Mr. Y. We'll let you run point on this one.
I would be worried if I was a Chelsea fan because I don't feel like they've addressed the issues as it stands. I feel like they're building this whole kind of like they're hoarding all these players, project youth, signing players to loan them out to feed the clubs. But you've got to address the issues, the main issues, and the holes you have in your squad now. You can't be thinking about, your meal for like next week if you ain't got a meal for today. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Like it don't make sense.
Empty.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying to you? Like it don't make no sense. So like the priorities ain't in order. Like whether they sign Caicedo, all right, that's a fantastic signing. But again, if he gets injured, they're back to who's playing 6? Gallagher? Like what do they do with that? I know they've been linked with Tyler Adams, but then now there's rumours that he might be going to Brighton if Caicedo goes to Chelsea. So it's almost like, again, it's very short term. They're not thinking for the here and now. It's long term planning, and you're never going to succeed if you're always thinking about tomorrow and you haven't got nothing on the pitch as it stands. I mean, they're short up front. They've lost Nkunku. So
I mean, they still have Lukaku. So let's.
Oh yeah.
Like he
Juve don't want him, boy.
He might not leave.
Now he's leaving. I've seen that he's waiting out for a European club to try and get him. And if they don't, then in September he's happy to go Saudi, is what I've seen. He wants out of Chelsea too, by any means. So I expect him to leave. But I just mean like they ain't got another strike. They ain't got many strikers in. They've got Nicholas Jackson, who looks like a real talent. I've seen him play in pre-season. Looks impressive, but again, it's a different thing doing it in the league. Broha has never really done it.
If I'm Poch, I actually might try and convince Lukaku to stay.
I think he would do well.
They've got all these silly players around him, and he just needs to sit in that box.
They
got Sterling, they've got Madueke, they've got all these players that will deliver the ball for him. That I might just say, you know what, just give us one season and go wherever the hell you want.
But after they disrespected the club, you really taking that? Yeah,
Xhaka disrespected your club. Who cares?
Bro, Xhaka walked off because he was getting abused. Yeah, but let's keep it.
Hey, what I say about football is, you can't. You can't do that. You can't take a shot. You can't do that as a footballer.
You can't. Listen. There's always context with everything in life. You know what I'm trying to say to you. Lukaku got signed for 100 mil. 3 months later, he's begging to go back. You can't be doing that in an interview, like being like, "Oh, I wish I could go back. I wish I never left to my club." Like
one great thing about football is we all forget. You play well, we all forget. Lukaku just needs to remember that he is a big upfront striker that gets the ball in. He's not running. Don't run behind players, and you're not that guy. Just win your headers. Do this. That you're just not. You are not Defoe. Yeah, he thinks he's Defoe, and he's not Defoe. Just you're a big guy. Your focal point. To do that.
Bro, Lukaku can't manage his first touch. Lukaku can't manage his diet. Bro, that man there went out, bro. The guy inflates, he deflates, he inflates, he deflates. It's long, bro. It's long. He's I wouldn't want him in my club after all the stuff he's done. Like, he's a headache.
No, I agree.
And he's not really a Poch player because they want people that press and work hard. Yeah, they want people who you want energy, you want legs.
It gives me Moni vibes as well, Like, give me the ball, you don't give me the ball. Oh, why you give me the ball, bro? The football plays, you might not be the best option behind you, bro. Like, get in the box, man.
Whether he's going or not, I mean, they've got a lot of young players. I don't think they've got the right mix of like young and experienced players. Obviously, Pochettino is quite an experienced manager, so he might be able to steady the ship with all them young players the same kind of way Arteta did. Even though Arteta wasn't experienced, so he still might be able to steady the ship with the young players. And then the few that are experienced there, the Sterlings, the Thiago Silvas, obviously Reece James has played a few seasons. So I'm not too sure what to expect from Chelsea. I think we'll see a lot of goals being scored, a lot of goals being conceded, 1 week they might win 3-0, next week they might lose 3-0. I just think it will be very mixed year for them. So for me, if they can finish in that top 6 this year, that'll be an achievement for them.
Yeah, I'd say top 6 will be an achievement with some sort of style of play or some sort of kind of unity starting to be like understanding starting to be kind of like managed, because it's almost a brand new 11, isn't it? So they've never really played with each other, don't really know, you know, they all coming to terms with the kind of, you know, football philosophy of Pochettino as well. So I feel like it's going to be a huge transition season for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What you got now, OJ?
I agree. I think Chelsea is crazy because I feel like for the amount of money they spend and the people they got rid of, it's like they just play FM, don't they? They just look at Brazilian Wonder Kids on YouTube and just you know and whatnot, or South American Wonder. It's crazy. I just feel like they have no experience. I saw a Chelsea fan on Twitter, and I wish I'm gonna look for this tweet, and they posted their, you know, that who's stopping us, and it was just bare like kids and inexperience. And I was just like, yeah, your team stops itself, bro. Like, it's awful. So, yeah, I agree. I think if they get in the top 6, it'll be a huge achievement. And when I say top 6, I'm talking 6th.
It'll be a pleasant, obviously, where Casado goes out of Chelsea and Liverpool is a big thing. And I think that affects both teams. So it obviously makes them better. It makes you guys better. So that is a big deal. And you both need to pull it off. So we'll see where that goes with that. Because that changes the whole dynamic of their team, the whole dynamic of your team, and what you can possibly do this year.
Yeah.
So there's still a bit of a transfer window to go, but this Sunday will be interesting to watch and see how that works out.
Battle of the Bridge, boy.
It's going to be funny if, like, because Chelsea fans were giving it to Liverpool fans were giving it to Chelsea fans, and now it's like, oh, Liverpool fans are saying. So it's like, you know them, just tweet, don't say nothing. I saw bare of them. And I was liking them. I just started going back and unliking them.
I think following that, we move on to, we just touched on it, our top 6 predictions. Who wants to hit the top 6 prediction first? I don't mind starting.
I'll go. You want to go?
Yeah. Right, hit it, OJ. Hit it.
I have City, Arsenal. It's moving. I was gunning for them. I'm Liverpool.
Liverpool third, yeah.
Depending if he signs to Casado, I'll put. You know what? This is on teams right now. It's going to be Man United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea.
Newcastle, Chelsea. Okay. Mr. White, what you got?
All right, listen, I'm gonna go with Arsenal first, because you just kind of back your boys.
So it's just to back them. It's not because that's what you naturally think.
No, you know what it is? I feel like we can do it. I believe.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a clear yes.
No, Joy is, I can't sit here with chests, yeah. And I said it earlier. I can't sit here with chest and be like, we are 100% beating Man City.
I need your top 6 with chest though.
It's a little chest, isn't it?
Arsenal fan, don't put Arsenal first because what you say you died.
I'm putting Arsenal. Listen, I'm putting Arsenal first. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm putting Arsenal first. Yeah. I put City second. I would put Liverpool third if they had Caicedo, but as it stands, I'd put United. I'd put Liverpool fourth. I'm gonna go for Brighton fifth. Yeah. And 6th place, I'm gonna go Newcastle. Yeah, I'm gonna go Newcastle.
I know what you think about Brighton. Obviously, we've had a conversation about Brighton off air, so we know what you think about them and why. So it's not a shock to us, obviously, to hear that. Right now.
What about you, Chinny?
I'm going Arsenal. Like I'm going Arsenal to win the league this year. This is our year. There's no I'm just going with that from the start. We're going Arsenal. We're gonna go Man City. Yeah. You know what? My comments have been off air, but I'm still going to go Man City. Arsenal, Man City. And I'm actually, because I'm a true Man United hater. But I'm going on the fact. I'm going Liverpool first. I'm going Arsenal.
Oh, that charity.
I just feel like, even though I know teams are about balance and stuff, I feel like if their forward line stays fit enough, they cause too much issues that their defense, it doesn't matter. So they still won't win like all of their games, but they're slapping a lot of teams. I'm going Liverpool third, Man United fourth, Newcastle fifth, and Chelsea. No, oh God. I'm going Brighton number 6. I'm going Brighton 6. I'm leaving Chelsea and Tottenham out.
I see you on Brighton.
Welcome to this, innit?
Welcome to the dark side, boy. Welcome to the Brighton side in terms of C division now, boy. Man, C division.
It's true though, because like you guys said, if they sell Casado and signed Taylor Adams or Lavia, I feel like they'll just go back in the style of football. They'll just get linked up anyway. So they're prepared.
Now, who's going down? Who's going down?
For me, I mean, my bottom 3 would be Luton. It would be Sheffield United, and it'll be Wolves. Wolves have lost Neves, Moutinho, Jimenez, the manager. They've got FFP issues.
Even that little Traore on the right doing his little bounce.
Yeah.
Lost him.
Man like Baby Oil, they lost him. So yeah, man, I don't think it's looking too good for them. And they ain't bringing nobody in. Like, I'm looking at their business. Their manager walked because they're failing to strengthen. They brought in Gary O'Neill. He did a good job at Bournemouth, but again, if you ain't got the players to work with and you ain't getting backed and strengthened, then it's not looking good for you. So I'd expect them to go down.
I totally agree with all 3, Luton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. I just don't think any of them will have enough to. Like, Sheffield have lost their best players. Luton have actually brought a couple in, but I still don't think that they'll be at the levels required. And same reasons with Wolves. But obviously, Wolves have Man United this weekend. And a lot of teams, when they lose their manager, they have the little new manager bounce, or that little bout. So I'm kind of hoping that they can pull something off, because my hatred for United is
that's
the hope, you know. That hatred is fueling that hope, boy.
They can pull something off this weekend and then lose every other game. I don't care, but I need them to do a little something. OJ, where you got?
So we had this conversation off air, and I agreed with Sheffield and Luton, but I went Fulham when we spoke off air. But now I'm looking at Fulham, and we had the conversation of this ins and outs, and now I'm seeing all the Wolves players are going to Fulham, even with Traore going there now. I'm like, I'm just going to be in full agreement with you guys. I had to retract my statement, hold my hands up, and say,
do you know who might be relegated? You might have to be careful for West Ham, this year.
Yeah, West Ham will shout.
Have to be careful this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I reckon they'll pull out, man. I reckon they'll be.
They've lost a few, but
they're losing Paqueta as well. I mean, I think they'll struggle, man. Luton Town, from the 3 I mentioned, I think they're the ones that may have the best chance from the 3 of surviving, just because they may play that haramble. You know what I mean? That small pitch. You know what I mean? Long balls.
Hate playing it in them small pitches, bro.
Pitches, I'm trying to say to you, tight, compact, you know what I mean? Fans on top of you. You got your houses on top of you too, you know what I mean? People looking at looking at their windows.
It's a very different atmosphere that a lot of players won't be used to.
Yeah, I mean, like, that might be their you know what I mean? That little ace card, the little trump card that they can put
They're
out.
still going down though. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. But
they're going down.
I'm saying from the 2, like, they're the ones that give me from the 3. Sorry, they're the ones that give me. Maybe they might have a little something extra.
Have experience.
Huh? Experience is gone, bro.
Wolves have experience. They must be able to at least field 5 men that have Premier League experience.
I Leicester went down, and Leicester were way better than things. So anyone can go down, really.
True.
I just look at the trajectory.
West Ham will be in the mix, but they're not going down. I think they'll have a go on a good little run or do enough to stay up. I don't think they'll be in that. You know, like they were last season. They were like, oh, they're close. I think it'll be like that again.
Well, remember they're in the Europa League as well this year.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Games for a full squad.
They'll definitely be down there. I reckon Moyes will get sacked before that happens, though. I think he's getting sacked either. I think he's getting sacked either way. Somewhere during the season, Moyes is getting sacked.
Yeah, 100%.
He's good.
Last but not least topic is biggest overachiever and biggest underachiever.
You want to start this one off?
For me, I'll start. Villa, again, for who they signed and what they've done, I think they're going to be the biggest underachievers because you would expect them to do better. We had a conversation off air with their manager, and I know you dismissed what I was saying is they have to focus on one. They can't do both, and something's going to have to give way. But like them, they signed players who other clubs were like, oh, why didn't we look at them? So I feel like they're going to be the biggest underachievers. I don't think they're going to finish in a place that's going to give them competition in Europe or outside of that. So they're my biggest underachievers.
I'm gonna go with. Wait, who was your overachiever?
I ain't done it yet. I'll do underachiever first.
I think the underachiever would be. Oh God. I don't know, because I'm not. I would say Tottenham, but I'm not actually expecting anything from them. So I can't even go. I'd say Chelsea.
For your
if they don't get Caicedo, especially, it could be a very messy season for them, and they could seriously be in trouble in and around that.
You think they'll finish lower though?
6, 7, 8. No, that's a really no. But I can see them in around that 6, 7, 8 spot, and for Chelsea and the amount of money they spent, that's not on. So for me, they'll be the biggest underachievers this year.
That's a good shout. Mine would be Villa, just for the simple fact that I don't think historically Unai Emery's ever managed to manage the expectations of performing well in Europe and the league. He always has it's a fine balancing act, and he's never mastered it, and he's never shown us that he can master it. His time at Seville, he was always struggling in the league. Same with Villarreal. With Arsenal, when he did it, again we dropped off in the league. The last 10 games we fell off, failed to manage that, and we had an advantage as well. I think we were ahead of Chelsea at that point as well. So he's always, and that's with a stronger, more experienced squad as well. So this is their first time navigating Europe. I feel like having seen how big it was for West Ham as well, and him being that European Cup expert, especially with the Europa League, and this is one down from the Europa League, he would be the favourite and he'd be expecting to win that. So I feel like he'll put more credence and importance onto that than the league. And I feel like the league will naturally drop off as a result anyways. So I'd say Villa are definitely my underachievers.
Overachiever?
Mine are going to be Bournemouth.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth are going to surprise people. I think they made some really smart acquisitions last January, and they've brought in some decent little players as well so far. They brought in that Alex Scott kid from Bristol City, I think it is.
Did they get Justin Kluivert?
Pardon?
Did they get Justin Kluivert?
Yeah, got Justin Kluivert. Again, he's at this rate as well. He's not even going to be a starter. He's probably going to be a bench player, because they've got Traore and they've got this other, I can't remember the other player on the flanks who's a nice quick winger. They've got Traore, who they signed from Sassuolo. They signed Max Aarons as well. And they brought in a really talented manager from Spain, what's his name, Araujo, who managed Rayo Vallecano and was playing some really good football with them, high press, possession-based football. So I think they're building a nice. They've signed some really bright and kind of like different prospects from Europe. People with pace, energy, youth, decent, good technically as well. And I feel like they're going to surprise people. A lot of people have got them in their list to go down. I've seen.
Where do
But
you see them finishing?
I think they could make a push for 10th, for top end. I'm not expecting them to go and get into Europe or anything. But if they were to finish 10th, for instance,
Yeah,
considering everyone's putting them in their list to go down, I think that'd be fantastic.
top end. Yeah, that's a good season for them. That's a build on previous.
Like,
that's a good season. I feel.
Yeah, 10th, 11th would be strong finish. So I see them right now as having a high. This is going to sound controversial, but I think they might even do better than say Brentford this season. That's the kind of expectations I have as it stands.
They're missing their big boy till Jan anyway. And what's he gonna come? What's he gonna look like when he comes back?
Not Lukaku.
Okay.
I'm going Fulham.
After you just left them down yesterday.
Yeah, because I looked at their signings. That's what I'm saying. I went pay attention to their incomings. I put my hands up. I did have them, but then I looked at it and I said, I feel like they're not even going to be in a relegation battle or like as close. I don't think that. I feel like they made some real like smart signings. They kept Mitrovic. Because obviously the league closes a few weeks after ours, doesn't it? So let's see if he stays. They sign Jimenez. They look like they're signing Traore. I feel like they're adding to their attack, and defensively, I don't think they're that bad. I think they still got a nice little core. I don't think they'll be in the relegation battle or in the. When I looked at it after our conversation. That's what I'm saying. This is what our podcast is about. We spoke. I went back, did some more research. And I was like, actually, they have made some good signs like going forward. I think it's really
in the middle. They kept Polinia in the middle. That's a big
one. Yeah, like big players. And I know he was injured, but it's not long term. So I genuinely feel like they have potential to score more. They've added more goals, and that's one of their things they needed to add. So, yeah.
They signed Bassi from Ajax as well.
Yeah, so they made some really good signings, man. I think they. I don't say they're gonna be getting Champions League or Europa League or Conference, but I'm saying I think they're not. I don't think they're gonna be in the battle as I thought before I looked at what their business they done. So I think they did.
All right, so we got Bournemouth, Fulham. I'm gonna go Crystal Palace. I think they lost Zaha, which is obviously a big loss, but I've seen a bit of them in pre-season. Obviously, Eze is a massive player for them. He does a lot. I just feel like they've got a bit about them. They've got a bit about them in the middle. They can create. They can score. It's not a nice place to go to. Crystal Palace, as a Liverpool fan, you should know that it's not one of the best places.
Why did we do that?
It's not one of the best places.
Hey, you know what? To be fair, it hasn't been a good place for us either, boys.
Yeah, I was trying to say, I hear you because that was a big game for us. But when you do this, you look at the other games. There's games we drew that we should have won, and we shouldn't have been in that position when we played.
That Manchester slipped. Crystal Palace, and I think top 10 finish for them as well will be a good season. So yeah, Palace is my overachievers this year. We'll see who else they bring in. I mean, over the course of what's left of the transfer window. Yeah.
Anyone got some honourable mentions in either of those categories?
Palace is definitely on for overachieving. I think that's a good one. I never thought about that. And I think you guys are ones that are great mentions.
I think my honourable mention will be Burnley. I think company might have something up his sleeve as well.
Yeah, I agree with Burnley.
And I know Turf Moor is not that nice of a place to go to either.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I think West Ham for underachievers would be a mention due to the conversations that you guys had. I think that's a good shout. Where in Europa League they've starting to be in Europa League. This being the second season, I think it is, and to then lose these players, they need to improve. And if they don't improve, there would be a very big underachievement for now. Because I know they were one of the clubs that when I did some work with them, that their thing was to be in Europa League minimum consistently, and to go in it, play in it, and then fumble is crazy.
I mean, honourable mentions would be Brighton for overachievers. And for
until Brighton
underachievers,
give us Casado, I'm not putting Brighton in that.
listen, I saw Brighton lose Cobble, and then they were still slapping out of the back differently, like they were like they were managed by Pep. And then underachievers, I'm gonna go for Palace. I think Zaha's left. I think Elise will probably leave, and then I feel like, yeah, I've got a feeling that they may struggle. I mean, they haven't really made any signing of it. I mean, they did sign a talented Brazilian attacking midfielder from Franco, whatever his name is, from the Brazilian league. But other than that, I don't think I can remember any notable signings. And I'm seeing rumours of their centre back Anderson leaving as well. I think Newcastle interested. So yeah, I don't know. After seeing Mr. Crystal Palace Zaha leave, I've got a bad feeling for them. You know, I mean, I like Eze, but I don't know if he can carry them on his back like Zaha.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna find out this weekend. Obviously, the start. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Perfect.
I guess that draws an end to us. OJ, you can lead us out.
Of course. So I just want to say thank you guys as well. This is our first show, and there'll be many more weekly, you know, where we continue to stay unfiltered, you know, and uncensored, unapologetic, as I like to throw in there as well, because I feel that throws around a lot on Twitter. But, you know, I just want to say again, thank you to my co-host, Chinny and Mr. Y, and to everyone who's watching this. I just want to say thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like. This will be on YouTube within the hour, and follow us on TikTok, Twitter and Instagram, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, it's at the OTP pod for anyone that's asking this everywhere. It will be in the links, so just have a look.